All righty. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Freed, alongside of me, the one, the only, Becky Alley.
Hey, everybody. I'm very happy to be here.
She is back. Wait, Beck, congratulations. I was there. I witnessed it. The best wedding ever I've been to, and love all the entertainment. We'll talk a little bit about Becky's wedding, but more importantly, maybe even talk about some real estate headed out west where you were.
Oh, my God. I was in paradise. I mean, it just was beautiful. I feel recharged. I feel like everyone's asking me if I moved away, and I was like, no, I didn't. But, that's cool. It's nice to feel like I was missed, but I am happy to be back. I feel energized. I feel good about it. And yeah, we did have a party for sure at the end of the year.
Welcome back. Definitely. Christopher Dayton joins us, eXp Realty, all over Southeast Michigan, all over the United States. Chris, you are got a lot to talk about the housing market headed into 2022. We might touch back a little bit. The numbers, of course, were great in 2021 and in 2020. And the numbers are coming in from how the year shaped up. It's going to be a little tougher out there. It's an interesting year, and you brought in some great numbers.
Yeah, guys, I'm fired up to be here. And I was at Becky's wedding, too. So I was at the party of the century.
Party of the century. That sounds fun.
Because, New Year's Eve, when you bring it in like that, it was legendary.
Yes.
So,
snaps.
It was about as hot as the housing market is right now. So,
yay! I feel good about that. It definitely was a party. I'm glad you guys all felt that energy, and we feel the energy of the real estate market, obviously too. When I left. Okay, so I left 3 days after we got married, 4 days after we got married, and it was like everything shifted. Things kind of were a little bit slow. You deal with that holiday lull where people are like checking out a little bit. I call it holiday-itis. And literally just, January 3rd rolled around and it was just boom. Everyone's ready to go. They want a piece of that pie for 2022 to make their goals a reality.
Well, here's the thing though. The piece of the pie is pretty small.
Let's talk about how small that pie is.
I got some stats here.
Uh-oh.
So for my friends, I live in Livonia. I grew up in Livonia. Graduated Livonia Stevenson. Let's go, class of 95.
Hell yeah, aging you see.
But, right. Livonia, 32 houses for sale.
Huh?
Northville, 15. Canton, 34. Plymouth, 20.
Wow.
Farmington Hills, 33. Novi, 26. So that's total 160 houses available to sell right now out of all of that entire area, the I-275 corridor.
You picked out the 275 here. I'm going to be cruising down there tomorrow. Definitely anything east or west of that north. He's had Canton in there. He's got Novi in there.
Plymouth is hot right now,
Those
yeah.
are low numbers. We talk about inventory. I wrote it in the show. Becky, the stats across the United States are saying, wait a minute, inventory's starting to peak up a little bit. Again, there was that lull. Now people are back in the saddle. Mm-hmm. They're going to sell their house. I don't see the inventory here picking up.
No, I did read what you read, and it was saying about like December 2020, in comparison, there was a 3-month supply, right? And then in 2000, so like right now, a year later, they're saying there was a 6-month supply in December. And I was like, clearly they're not talking about the Midwest or Michigan specifically, because it is not like that. It's going right back to, like I was telling you guys before the show, it's multiple offers. You got to be prepared. And it is, if you are out there looking at 2-degree weather, you are serious.
Oh, yeah,
and the other people with you are serious. And they brought their shanks. And their shank comes in the form of a bona fide pre-approval, right? And they're going to fight you over it. And I just had a buyer, they lost $75,000 over asking. That's like
crazy numbers.
Oh my God. So me and Chris were talking about, it's like almost like you get in an elevator with someone that's hacking and you're like, you know what? I'll get the next one.
I'm going to take the stairs. Thank you very much.
If they're if someone's going to overpay by almost $100,000, have it.
That's an interesting analogy is if you go to an elevator, someone's hacking in it, you're like, I'll just take the next one. Yeah. Same thing with a house. If you overbid $75,000 and you don't get the house, maybe you need to move on to the next one.
I don't feel sad about losing that one. Have it.
248-539-9797, the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. We give you 1 hour only every week of some hardcore mortgage real estate talk. We talk about inventory, appraisals. We bring on real estate agents, and we talk about title insurance and all sorts of oddities. And maybe, Becky, I even talked to you outside a little bit about, we always talk about inspections and stuff. I said, maybe today we'll drop in and just stick with lending and that process of lending and the excitement and how lending in mortgages interact with these great real estate agents all across Southeast Michigan, and maybe sometimes not so great real estate agents. And if you took that personally, then call us and we can help you walk through all of these things. I made an offer to a couple new agents this week. I said, do me a favor, plug my cell phone number in. I'm available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can meet me at the office. And let's, if you get the next transaction, and when you're writing that agreement, if you need a little bit of the language spelled out for you, we've done this a few thousand times. You might want to give us a call.
And you're not lying. I mean, when we say we are available all the time, we are available. Even when I was on my honeymoon, I mean, everyone was so gracious and very kind to kind of let me turn it off a little bit, but I didn't know how. I mean, I'm still reaching out. I was still really, like doing these offers. People were still talking to me, and I took advantage of the time change. And I was like, okay, well, here I am working, and it's fine, and it worked out. But we are available. I just talked to someone as late as 10 o'clock last night, first-time home buyer. Had no idea that she could take money out of her 401k to put towards the mortgage. I mean, there's no such thing as a silly question because you don't know what you don't know.
We were talking with someone outside of the studio here just as we started the show, Chris. And again, we talked about this. He just bought a house 2-3 years ago. What a great move.
Hey, it's always about the time that you buy, right? Everybody wants to buy low, sell high.
Who doesn't?
I'm really bad at that. I'm bad at the timing.
Yeah, I'm terrible too. Like, don't get me started on all like the stock market and things like that. So,
puke.
Or crypto. But the reality is, you're going to want to buy now. I mean, I know that we hear that a lot, and I'm telling you, guys, if you were my family, I would tell you, you need to make a move. Go where you want to be for the next 10 to 15 years. Because the way interest rates are going, the way getting into home affordability, the ease of being able to move, you think it's hard now? Just wait 2 more years.
Right.
It's going to be real hard.
It could be.
Yeah,
it could be.
I don't disagree with anything that you're saying because, we've been in this perfect storm where, the pandemic has, kind of forced the hand of rates to go down. We all knew that the Fed announcement, they only announced what we already knew, right? It wasn't a secret. And, we're looking at rates that are probably going to go back to where they were 2016, 2018, whereas in 2018, they were at 4.875. And that is what it is. But that does affect what someone can buy. And when you're in the situation where these home prices are continuously been increasing, which is fantastic if you're already a homeowner, but talking about the new ones entering the game, it's going to severely impact some of these individuals trying to buy at these higher price points.
Well, Becky, mortgage rates are lower today than they were in 2019 pre-pandemic. So that's still exciting. Again, they're still a bit lower. If you're putting 5% down on a condominium, well, that rate's different than if you're putting 20% down on a single family house. So there are some LLPAs, we call them loan level pricing adjustments, different programs for different situations. We'll talk about the basics in lending all morning long at 248-539-9797. Beck, they've been messing with our mortgage rates, that's for sure. Rates, look, we don't want to be the guys to announce it. Some of the we're not the bad guys. Hey, yeah, you can still get a unbelievably low rate. In fact, Becky, you can pay discount points if you want to buy down your rate. So all that sort of knowledge and stuff we like to share with people. You can do 0 points and take one of these fabulous interest rates. Again, we mentioned interest rates at all-time lows, but you need some knowledge on if you want to buy down your rate, if you're going to stay in this house for 5 to 10 years. Sometimes when you pay to lower your rate, you need to stay there for at least 5 years to break even.
Yeah, I mean, but the panic needs to stop, right? It's these rates when you're like, everyone's like, oh my God, I missed the boat. You didn't miss the boat. They are still historically low. It's just more like we've been shooting those warning shots for quite some time because we knew that we were spoiled and this was going to go back to a little bit of a reality, but they're still historically low. You're still going to be getting rates in, mid threes. That's fantastic. That's less than what they were in 2018. I mean, they're only right back to where they were 19 and people were pumped about it, right? So there's no reason for you not to be excited and hesitate because if you're waiting for the next cycle to come around, it's going to be a hot minute.
Well, and that's what I would say. People, if you want to do something in real estate, do it now. Whether it's a refinance, cash out your money, get something, you're going to stay there. Awesome. Or you're going to make a move. That's what we're going to talk about.
All right. Well, hey, they have shows on this on TV. We do a show here on the radio called The Hardcore Mortgage Show. You're listening to it. Keep it here. Call in at 248-539-9797. All mortgages and real estate. We'll be right back. Alrighty, welcome back to the show. It is the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289. I can say that really slow, too, if you want. Equal housing lender. Give us a call, 248-539-9797. Chris Dayton, eXp Realty's got a lot to show you. If you want to take a look, get out there, give us a call, Chris. It's fun to look at houses. I love that stuff.
I'm going later today.
Yeah.
Right from the show. I'm leaving. I'm heading out to South Lyon.
So you start the car a couple minutes, and then it's warm, and you're in it's gorgeous outside. It's sunny out here. This is Michigan winter for sure. I feel a little bad for some of the animals out there, but why not look at some housing today? Why not?
The little fur babies. My little Chachi is going to be 19, and I got a 19-year-old, almost a 19-year-old Chihuahua, and he's in a little diaper, but he goes outside. I'm like, oh, little Chachi, I got to go chase after him. So if you have animals, bring them in the house. I mean,
for sure.
Chachi, I call him Schmeagle because he's like me precious.
Chris,
One
inventory.
ring to rule them all.
Inventory really has ruled the roost here. That's what's been driving up the prices. It's supply and demand. It's basic economy stuff on, the 101 stuff where, got all these buyers out there, these really low interest rates, still really low interest rates.
Yep.
A little shock when people, if they haven't bought maybe last 6 months and now they're out in the market again. Some of them cooled their jets. They were sick of fighting. And like you said, Becky, sometimes the deal you don't get is the best deal of all. And they didn't get that house. And so what? Rates burped up. I'm going to say
half.
Half? Okay,
half
let's go
from
with
the
it,
first of the year.
0.5%.
It's for sure a half.
Okay, so for each $100,000 that you borrow on a 30-year, that's $8. Mm-hmm. So if you say a half, I can go eighth, quarter, 3/8, and there's your half. 4 times $32 more on a $100,000 loan. If interest rates moved up, let's just say a 0.5%. There you go. $32 more. You can squeeze that into your budget. So if you're borrowing $200,000, Becky, just rough numbers this morning.
Yeah.
$64. So your house payment might have went up $64. That's like when you already owned a house and you get a gas bill and you're like, oh yeah, gas is going to be more expensive next year. And we're seeing that. And these are just budgeting things as we talked about, maybe focusing on lending here this morning a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you have to plan. I mean, and sometimes, when you're trying to buy a house on sunshine and rainbows, right? It's you need to make sure that you have a plan in place. And if you have student loans and there's all these, and it's after Christmas, a lot of people have a little bit more credit card debt. These are the conversations that we're having to make sure that everyone is aware of these slight changes, because we can't control the rates. The rates are going to be what they are. But you're right. If you're looking for, your payment's going $60 more, it's okay. We can work around it, but we might have to, analyze your credit a little bit and fix that.
Well, we had just talked about different pricing for rates and things like that, things you can do with buy down rates. How much of that is your credit score? And with Christmas and people put a bunch of stuff on their credit cards. What could they do, or what do you think they should do to maximize and make sure that they're getting the best pricing?
Well, that's actually awesome, because it goes hand in hand with the conversation I had last night. I looked at the situation, and the scores were not where they wanted to be. And I looked at their credit, and they had a credit card that was maxed out. And sometimes when we pull credit, it's all about that timing. So they're like, oh, I already made that payment. Great. Get me proof of that, and we can adjust that. And it was going to increase their score 50 points.
Wow.
So, in the perfect world, they want you to have your credit card debt under 43% if it's a revolving item, right? So if you're at your max, that is going to have a severe impact on your score. So these are things that we look at and we identify, and we have those conversations. So if we're just in between you making a bill and it hasn't posted because they take 30 days, we don't need to wait 30 days. We just force it to happen a little bit faster with documentation from you.
So if you had multiple credit cards, like 2 or 3 of them, and one's maxed out, maybe one's middle of the road, one you don't have a whole lot on, you're saying to get all of them under about 43.
Yes, that's going to give you
better than paying off the 2 and having one maxed.
Yes, it depends. Everyone's situation is different depending on how quickly they were open, how long they were open, what's going on with it. But sometimes people focus on the wrong things, and you don't know until you actually speak with a credit professional.
Okay, because I'm seriously just asking for a friend.
Chris, we are expecting even more and more. Just the year started off, some strange calls, with people are in tougher situations. And, I always thought like some of the bad things would go away of lending, that people would, really start working on the credit. It's still shocking to me because you see all this on TV now. Financial literacy is still not taught in the schools, but you do see more and more of these conversations out there on how to improve your credit and stuff. So a shock to me that, again, take those steps if you want to become a homeowner. These are scary steps. Maybe you need that tough love. Sometimes people say, hey, Harvey, you're rubbing me a little wrong. I'm rubbing you to get you to that point where you need to be. And sometimes these are tougher conversations with people. It's like, look, this is the money you have coming in, and you might even have a federal tax return coming up if you just did your taxes. So maybe, Becky, take a little bit of the money. I like that. Get that credit score up now. We don't want to run the credit report today. We want to run your credit report when you've got all your ducks in a row. If you need to call us today and get prepared for that, definitely call Capital Mortgage at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. We'll sneak that in all
Well, it's
day.
like we talked about, right? If you're out looking for a house in December, people are serious, or in January, the winter, anytime, people are showing up with their pre-approval shanks, and they're serious. And you have the days of, I'm going to look at this house first and then get pre-approved, it's over, right, Chris? Like, you're just not even entertaining it.
Yeah. I mean, there's no time to wait. Why would a seller wait if they've got 12 offers and you love the house and you're the 13th offer, but you're not ready to buy it? And 12 other people have said, okay, well, that guy's good and awesome. They're nice people, but I'm ready to buy right now. You want to sell right now. Choose me.
Yeah.
Escalation clauses, going over and above the listing price, driving up that price.
Yeah.
You know, the agents out there, they want to do the best they can for each seller. It's not always price. Sometimes you want to take the best transaction. I've definitely now, with my pre-approvals, once I find out there's an offer made, I'm reaching out to listing agents and calling them and giving them the heads up on what's going on in the transaction. It's very important, if you're representing a seller, Chris, you know more than anybody, that the people buying the house are qualified. And at the last minute, they're not going to walk away. Again, there'll be other buyers out there. We know that.
Right.
But everyone wants this to be so smooth, no hiccups along the way. And we want to make sure that everything's going to be there in 30 days.
Well, and the reality is a seller, almost as important as the price and the terms, is the time. You know, how long it's going to take, how does it work for them? Because they're going into the same boat typically that the buyer's in, that they're going to have to go buy their next place.
Yep. Remember when you're writing those purchase agreements, 60 days of occupancy is fine and dandy.
So that's gold right now, is that occupancy still?
It's gold.
Hey, they're going to give away 30, 60 days of occupancy. If you're doing any more than that, lenders don't want to hear about it. So definitely you got to work that out with people. So be sure to sit down, really put that plan together. We talk about it so often here on the show. 248-539-9797. Chris, 34 states in the United States say that a ranch house is the best house to buy. Let's just talk about some of the products that we have here in Michigan, because existing homes all over the place. But, you know, you might, because of the lack of inventory, have to change it up. You wanted a ranch. Now you're looking at a bi-level-ish thing. Things change here. And we have all sorts of different style homes.
We do. But Harvey, here's the thing. I've got a client right now, a cash buyer that I'm working with that wants a ranch.
Oh, yeah.
Over an acre. In like Milford, White Lake, West Highland area out there. So if you're listening right now, you got that.
List
you
your
want to
house.
like, hey, you want to
call us in, let us know.
Quick transaction. I've got a cash buyer up to $350. So let's go. But yeah, you know, the reality is sometimes you're going to have to make concessions. A lot of the reasons that people like the ranch houses is because they don't like doing stairs. You know,
They're thinking ahead of time, like when they're older and they don't want to do that. And I mean, honestly, like I'm young still. I was looking, because I had a ranch and I was looking for a ranch myself, but it's like, so think about it. So you gave us stats at the beginning of the show.
Yep.
142 homes on the I-275 corridor, right? How many of those are ranches? I mean, come on, there are probably like 5 in there, because
Yeah, I should have looked at that.
I mean, think about it, because people are always looking for a ranch. And so sometimes, like you're, talking about, Harvey, okay, maybe you settle for a bi-level first floor master, and you think about that, and then maybe you convert it to first floor laundry because, let's just say you're young now, but you don't want to deal with the stairs, whatever. It's more house to clean. I get it.
Yeah, you can get around, if you buy a colonial that has a first floor master,
There you go.
there you're solving your problem, and, maybe your guests or whatever, why you would have our kids,
And then later on in life, like the upstairs becomes like where the beast lives. We're like, don't go into the West Wing.
Go up there.
I'll tell you, every Saturday morning I get my fill of HGTV. You can knock down walls. You can reconfigure these houses. I never imagined that some of these things with the open concepts and stuff, what walls you can knock down. And, you throw in a couple bearing walls, new post up. And as long as you got to make sure the structure is good, there's really some interesting things you can do. So really fun here. Home ownership. We're keeping it with lending and home ownership. Exciting stuff. If you're looking at becoming a homeowner, why not? Most of the younger people that I see, the number one reason is, Harvey, I'm sick of paying the rent. I feel like I'm throwing my money out the window, and I always shake my head. You are.
You are.
You are. I mean, think about it. Like, okay, so inflation is real. You got a gallon of milk that's going up to whatever it's going up to. Everything is going up. And rent. These landlords have noticed that they were under collecting, right? They were not maximizing their dollars, and now they're hip with it. And you see people's rent went from, $1,250 to $1,600, and they're like, and so I have a buyer now that's saying, look, I can't afford this. I can buy my own house for less than this and feel more comfortable. And they're absolutely right. So with the rents increasing, it's kind of forcing a lot of people into the game where they're a little bit hesitant, and it's time to start investing in yourself, because $1,600 can get you at least $200,000 house with the rates where they're currently at.
Did you want to jump on that, Chris?
I was going to say something that, I have a house in Livonia, and, I married into it. My wife and I, moved into it. It's a nice, beautiful little home. It's 1,000 square feet. And I locked in, did a refi with Becky and locked in. I have a fixed rate. I'm good. I know what my payment is, and I know that I can rent that house for significantly more than that payment. And that payment's going to stay the same. And over the years, as we move forward, if I decide to go buy another home, which is what I'm actually looking to do,
right, I
can rent that home. And I calculated yesterday. I ran the amortization sheet. If I collect the rent and then put all of it back after costs and things like that, the quote unquote profit of rental, I would pay it off in 9 years.
It's amazing what you just threw out there. Again, the first step is maybe buying that residence, that primary residence, however you get in that primary home. Now you can build equity, set your mortgage up the right way. So when you do go rent it out, like you said, Chris, a few extra dollars towards principal, now you own it free and clear. Now this real estate, this asset is going to be good cash flow for you as you get into retirement. You got some ways to go there, buddy. I'm ahead of you.
Yeah, it's called the mailbox money.
Let's go.
All right, tons of mortgages and real estate talk. You got the Hardcore Mortgage Show here on 97.1 The Ticket. Come on back and join us, 248-539-9797. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show 929. What a gorgeous day outside. What? Sun is shining anyways.
Yeah, 2 degrees.
-4, January 29th, 2022. I say it's a good Saturday. And thank you for listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Keep it here. We got sports all day long here on 97.1 The Ticket. Pat Caputo follows us up. Of course, we are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. 1-800-LOW-RATE if you want the lowest rates, the true low rates out there, and we set it all up for you. Just call 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker right here in town. Chris Dayton joins us from eXp Realty. And Chris, the name of your group is what is it?
Minton Made Properties.
Minton Made Properties. All right,
Brandon
good Michigan
Gentile,
name.
Aaron Bedore. We're a couple good guys.
Oh, okay. I know some of those names.
Yeah, you just had a great merger. I remember like right at the end of the year, that it actually got to be official, and now here we are, first of the year, and you're on and popping.
We're go time, baby.
Yeah,
Let's
I love
go.
it.
Yeah, EXP's got a pretty cool thing going there where you guys can really, recruit, and there's some light at the end of the tunnel there. But a lot of the different real estate offices have changed over the years, and the way real estate has changed over the years has been more significant. Chris, they started in with, I've never talked to so many people that really did buy in the last 4 years sight unseen. They never were in the house. And I've talked to some sellers for sale by owner. And again, you didn't have to really see the house. Appreciation really solved a lot of problems because the house could have been a dump, but it went up so high in value, they did okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is wild out there. And in the last year, I spent a lot of time on the investment side of things where, sellers are, landlords or, they've got a house, they inherited a house maybe through probate or they just don't want it. So they wanted options. And you end up talking to them, and I think that's where real estate is kind of heading. Is people want to know what their options are going to be, whether they fix it up or they, sell it as is. Because right now the buyers, they're going to take whatever you give them. Then it's crazy.
It's crazy when you say that, and it also kind of goes hand in hand with it's important with who you are working with, right? Because like sight unseen, right? So that means that your eyes are the only eyes on that property, and they're like, whatever you think, Chris, go for it. Yes. You're the one that's taking me through this house. It was either FaceTime, taking a video, or some of them trust you so much that they don't even whatever, man. Just let me see let's throw a rock and see if it lands.
Yep. You got to do things like protect your client for sure. And cross those T's, dot those I's. There's things you can do in the inspection, that if you write an offer, a lot of people are waiving inspections entirely, which to me is really unwise. You don't want to do that. You want to at least have an inspection for your own knowledge. And the way you present that to the sellers, you say, hey, we're going to have a home inspection. That's for us. And we won't ask you for any concessions unless there's something major wrong over $5,000.
Doesn't everyone out there want to just call their loan officer or real estate agent and sort of check them out or maybe have dinner? You can call us and do that.
Yeah. If someone is promoting to waive an inspection to put your name at the top of the pile, I'd be like, man, that's one of those. I'll get the next elevator.
It's a red flag.
Yeah. I'll get the next one.
Becky, where I was going with it is the communication, this relationship that you have with these people that you're going to put in your life. You're going to go out there and start looking at a house and who did you hire? So I've talked to some great, and I always say this, it's not how long you've been at it, it's your professionalism. Do you know the language to write on these purchase agreements? We've been talking about it for 2 years solid, no inventory out there, multiple bids. How do you get your offer accepted? Mm-hmm. What's your escalation clause wording? Is it a standard document? There's highs and lows you can put in there. And, again, all aspects of the transaction is negotiated, and you can put it all in writing and make it really easy for yourself. Sometimes people, Becky, are even leaving furniture in these houses and things of this nature. These are things that really can be discussed. And again, I don't want to see that you're leaving all your couches and bedding and stuff. But if you did put it in writing, leave it out there. Okay, put things in writing to make sure your transaction goes good. You cannot deal with amateur hour on the number one thing you're buying. And again, do you actually spend more money shopping for a car than a house? I think some people do.
I think people do get a little bit more detailed with, car shopping than mortgages because we think about it, everything's electronic. You're just click, 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 and you miss all that detail, right? So then if you don't have a great real estate agent and then a loan officer to kind of picking up on some certain cues to bring those up, I mean, you could be signing something that could obligate you to you're signing something that if the house under appraises, now you are on the hook for $20,000 and you're like, no, that's not what I meant. I didn't understand. Well, you have to know what you're writing. And again, who you work with and who is in your wheelhouse matters because that's something that's very unfortunate because I've had it happen where I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, are you aware that you signed this? And they're like, no. And then we had to we had to readjust some stuff on some purchase agreements.
There's a reason why I get a lot of phone calls from this one client right now who's buying a $500,000 condominium, and I won't say the city or give too many details. They call me all the time, and you know what? I love it. And the one lady always says, Harvey, is now a good time to talk? I said, it's always a good time to talk about it because it's fun. And they get these questions off their chest, and now they're becoming more and more educated. I'm definitely going to agree with them. At the end of 30 days, they're going to know more about purchasing homes than most of the clients out there. Don't be quiet. If you're not calling your lender quite often and you're sort of in the dark, you're missing out. There's a lot to know. Good stuff.
I want to say something. A lot of times, though, sometimes too much noise is too much noise, right? So if you're trying to buy a house and you're talking to your sister or your aunt, your mother, son who bought a house last year, 2 years ago, and they're giving you all this information, then you want to talk to 17 lenders and 17 real estate agents, stop it. You got to do yourself a favor. Pick who you feel is giving you the best information, not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. And just bring it in because there's so much information and everyone's situation is different. Your situation is not going to be the same as your sister or your mom and dad 20 years ago or your sister that just bought a house a month ago. Your situation, your goals are different and you need to kind of narrow it down. I'm all about education, but figure out whether it's Capital Mortgage Funding or someone, if it's Chris, if it's not Chris, find someone that you feel is dialed into what you're needing. They're giving you that time and listen to what they have to say because if you trust them, then everyone else, what they have to say, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they got to have skin in the game.
Yeah.
You know, that's the reality. If people are giving you opinions and they don't have any skin in the game, then those are just opinions. And you need to really, really understand that. And it can be tough because a lot of the times those are the people that have...
Haterade.
Haterade.
Haterade is real.
And they get worked up over the most ridiculous things. And sometimes that's what really, really happens is in the course of a transaction, people get dialed in on the things that are really not important, and they want to. They're like a dog on a bone, and they're like fighting over $50, and you're like, you're about to lose a whole lot more than that.
Yeah.
If you don't listen to what I'm saying right now, and it's like, I'm working with you. Let's get this done.
Write it out. Talk it out.
I can't see anything best like. With you, Chris, you are so good at that. I do want to kind of take a minute to point that out, is that if you have ever had the privilege of dealing with Chris Dayton, he is so calm, level-headed, and he knows how to just find that line. He silences all the mess, all the noise, and he will find that string that is going to take you from A to Z as quickly as possible without the distraction. So, kudos to you. You are really, really good at what you just said.
I definitely appreciate that. But a lot of that is also setup. Like when I work with you guys, I always tell you, guys, just tell me the truth. Tell me what's actually going on and let me control the narrative and keep these people on track because I can do that in the most ethical, the right way.
Yeah.
And get the ball down the field. And so what happens is and sometimes you get stuck working with some other lender or whatever and they ghost you. They're gone. They don't answer any questions.
Where'd they go?
Where'd they go?
Where you be?
Where'd you go?
New phone, who's this?
People, if you're in the industry,
phone, who dis?
If you're in the industry and you're lacking that communication skill, I just don't get it. You're not going to survive in these up and coming months and probably the next couple years. I think it's going to be the cream of the crop. It's going to be the top 10% of all those agents out there. Hey, Chris, how about this fun stuff here when you buy a house? All the fill-in building. I've always loved that. And just, sort of looking back, I was writing the show last night, just trying to sort of reflect on the last sort of 7 years. Again, these are some of the best real estate times ever. But I remember doing these open houses 7 years ago, 7 years ago. I was still meeting some of my real estate buddies on Sundays, doing open houses, and I don't want to give out this whole street in Royal Oak, but I think every neighbor came in and said, this house is too much money. $250,000 later, that house sold for $500,000. I think it's selling for about $750,000 now. Wow. And all these people, we said, Becky, who are you getting the information from? They were all on the street. They were all the experts. I was sitting there going, what are you talking about? It's new construction. That fill-in building that took place in some of these great walkable cities, it's really fun and exciting for a lot of families.
Everything is being built up right now, which is a beautiful thing. Detroit, the comeback, where Detroit is, if you think about it, where it was even 10 years ago. I've always been down for Detroit and, Royal Oak and all these areas. Because there was not construction. They stopped it for a long time because it was just, and then lumber went up. But, new construction isn't where it needs to be to offset the lack of inventory. But it is, if you bought a house within the last 5 years, you definitely got the equity there. Even the last 2 years. It's crazy.
Yeah, you almost get instant equity. It's kind of nuts.
You still see a lot of that. 248-539-9797 stocks and bonds. Boy, they started off the year a little raw volatility in the marketplace. Yes, it's impacted our mortgage rates. There's no doubt about that. Mortgage rates have been creeping up a little bit. Call us at Capital Mortgage Funding. Find out how you can lock in. And, of course, we've got some new construction lock programs also. If you're building a house, you can lock in with us. And those locks go up to 9-month new construction locks. So definitely 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Becky, every loan we offer. So whether it be 3% down conventional loans, 3.5% down FHA, USDA, VA, those are zero down programs, and all sorts of opportunities out there, including Mishta loans. If you want to buy a house, 224, that's still the max on Mishta. I think they're going to bump that up actually sometime this year. I hope they do.
I mean, they're going to have to. I mean, and the bottom line is that we have the vehicle to get you where you're trying to go. Right? You can't compare yourself to somebody else, even in life, right? You don't want to do that. I don't want to be like anyone else. I want to be like me, right? Mm-hmm. Same with your mortgage. We're going to customize it to you. And then we're going to kick you over to someone like Chris, who's going to find that house that is perfect for you. He's going to check as many boxes as he humanly possibly can within the 142 houses available in that one area. But, you know, we're here to help you. And it's not cookie cutter. Every house is not the same. Every mortgage is not the same. And you need to start the conversation sooner than later because it's about budgeting. It's making sure, can you afford that $64? If something happens to the furnace, are you going to have that budget in there to take care of it? That's why you're not waiving these inspections. All these things are conversations that you need to have ahead of time. So that way, when you buy that house, you are comfortable, you are confident, and you know what's going on.
Go ahead, Chris. Did you know what? We're coming to do a break. We've got a lot to share with you still. Music's a little low. We're coming back. 248-539-9797. Keep it here. Alrighty, welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. I'm Harvey Freed. She's Becky Alley. She's top 1% of all loan originators in the United States. Becky, you know a thing or two about mortgages, that's for sure.
I know a thing or two about hustling.
And also, she's back from her crazy honeymoon. We didn't give that destination, but from the hints of everything, they serve a lot of spam on those islands.
I did see a couple of spam trucks, and I was like, I better not. But I did get down on some fish tacos, man, in Hanalei Bay. Woo, they were so good, Frederico's. If you ever in Kauai, man, hit them up so good.
Yep, get a little.
So good.
She's like a travel agent now. You're an expert on Hawaii. I'm an expert on Jamaica, and then you got your Hawaii thing. But we all got our destinations and stuff. And I'll tell you, definitely thinking about that second home out there. If you walk outside today, you might say, yeah, maybe I need to get away in the winter times in a second home. And Chris, you mentioned it. There's some really opportunities out there. And we always talk about where's the opportunity in real estate if you want to diversify. Again, I started the year 7.5% down on my investments, IRA, 401k, stocks are getting beaten up to begin the year. So a little bit of having some different investments out there. We said, why not real estate?
Well, that's the reality.
Diversify your assets.
Yeah, I mean, look at come on, guys. Anybody can turn on the TV or the radio and hear that inflation is a major, major problem, right? I mean, even, you would have to be under a rock to not notice that everything's going up. Well, one of the hedges against inflation is real estate. You can buy a property. You can invest in that property. You can then turn that into a cash flowing property. And if you get a fixed rate mortgage, you're locking in that rate. I mean, a lot of people try to do like the APRs, the ARMs, or not the APR, like the what are they called? The
adjustable
arms.
rate arm. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's right. Good. See,
I got you.
I'll stay in my lane. Don't worry.
I got you.
But you don't want that rate to be moving up and down.
No,
you just don't. You want to lock in. You want to have a fixed rate. Then you can build out your business model from that, because then real estate becomes it's a business. You can make money.
Yeah, I mean, that was a perfect point of me because it's predictable, right? So, like we talked about, the Fed announcing these rate hikes, we already knew that, right? And historically speaking, interest rates have a really good job of kind of already getting in position before it even really happens, right? So they were talking about that, we'd be seeing rates between 3.65 to 3.99. Well, we're already there right now, pretty much, right? With a little bit. So the interest rates have already kind of got in position. So therefore, hopefully by the time they make these announcements, we're going to maybe see a little bit of a decline in these rates, depending on what's going on. Granted, we're not, we don't have a crystal ball. God bless Miss Cleo, but I don't have her abilities to look into the future and decide what's going to happen. But you can control everything that Chris just said, right? You can buy a home. You can fix that rate. The payment becomes predictable. Then you only have to deal with the taxes adjusting based off the market values and things like that. I mean, but you can make, if you're going to be an investor, you know what you're going to get. You know that mailbox money is going to come in.
Yeah, so if the mortgage payment stays the same, relatively speaking, because it's locked in, you got to think not next month or next quarter, next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years. If you've got 10 years from now, a rental in Livonia is probably going to be, I'm going to get my crystal ball out here. Yeah. I'm going to predict that, the average, like a house like mine that I was talking about is probably going to be like $2,000 a month.
Yeah, and think about like all the people that were like hesitant to buy houses. They bought them, now you're in that position. Now you're like, man, I wish I would have bought these houses 5 years ago, because you're on the fence. And now here you are again. You're going to look back 5 years and be like, man, I wish I would have just taken advantage when the rates were XYZ. It's like, don't be a looky-loo.
Have you ever met those people who are like, I could have bought a McDonald's franchise in 1968. I had the chance. And you're like, did you? And they're like, no, but I knew my neighbor did. What's he do now? Well, he's in the Bahamas on a yacht. Okay, well, great.
Back in my day.
Back in my day.
248-539-9797. You got the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Always giving you some information here about buying houses and stuff. Let's sort of go over to the mortgage and refinance section here of our show. Becky, has so many great opportunities out there, and these rates are still low. Yeah, I don't feel good when someone calls me and says, oh, hey, Harg, I'm going to do that debt consolidation. Well, I guess better next week with me, but way better if we would have done it last year. So it is what it is. And as you guys are talking about, it's all about timing. Take advantage of what's available now in today's market and set yourself up. Getting rid of, one of the things is, if you're an FHA mortgage, if you have an FHA mortgage, you probably are going to be stuck with that MIP for a lifetime, Becky, because that MIP doesn't go away unless you pretty much refinance it. I mean, again, a 15-year, there's some variables, but for most families, 30-year FHA mortgages, the MIP will not go away. You need to switch it.
Yeah, if you've been in a FHA mortgage post 2013 and it's a 30-year fix, that PMI is on there YOLO, especially if you put, minimum down.
Yeah.
So we have clients all the time. If that was the vehicle that we needed to get you in the house at that time, great. It served its purpose. Now it's time to look at the future and get you in a conventional mortgage, get rid of the PMI. It's all about being strategic and knowing what your goals are, and we're here to help you accomplish them. There's nothing wrong with an FHA mortgage. It's going to allow you to buy a lot of house with a least amount down, and they accept higher ratios. So that means that you can have more debt than you do income a little bit. You can offset it because let's just say, your spouse can't be on the mortgage with you. There's different things there why you're going to want to go FHA. They're a little bit looser on the bankruptcy doc. When you had a bankruptcy, anything that happened, there's a reason why FHA is it's a great mortgage. It's going to serve its purpose. But if it was in the last 2 years, it's time to get you out of that if you're in that position to do so and secure that rate and get rid of the PMI.
Yeah, if you had a past bankruptcy or a foreclosure, a situation like that, you can get into the game sooner or back in and become a homeowner FHA. So whatever the reasons, lower credit scores. Again, FHA 3.5% down. 580 or plus. We can even work on that a little bit. So get that credit score up. You can become a homeowner just as easy as that. And then, as you say, it's a great vehicle to get into a mortgage. And then in the future, you can always change it up to something that might be available that's better for you down the road. A lot of times, Chris, people just refinance their house to knock down the years. And as you said, why not build some equity in a house, knock it down? You might turn it into a rental down the road.
A lot of people don't even look at the amortization sheets. They really should. I'm surprised that when you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars, you would probably want to know, like, what am I actually on the hook for? And what if I just made an extra $100 a month payment towards the principal? What does that do?
It does a lot.
It does a lot.
It does.
I mean, you're talking about it can take years off of the mortgage. And people go, well, what do you mean, Chris? What is a year? Well, if you take 4 years off a mortgage and your payment was $1,000, well, that's $48,000.
Yeah. So instead of going on Amazon that night, just be like, you know what? Instead of spending this $100 on Amazon for things I don't need, I'm going to just put it towards my principal this month. And it's great. It's great marketing.
Exactly.
For yourself.
Exactly. So crazy.
All right, we're still taking your calls all morning long. 248-539-9797 if you're just turning it on. It is the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Again, we give you great information about buying houses in our 23rd year. It's nice and easy. Consumer Advocate shows consumers need to know more about this. Financial literacy, we talk about it all the time. They don't teach this in school. And if you really want to know how to buy a house, and so often I'll talk to the families who just bought, first-time homeowners, and I'm like, now how do you feel about it? They're like, oh my gosh, if you really want to experience it, you become an expert after you buy your first house.
I feel like it's like you're never really ever ready to buy a house, right? You're never going to have enough money in the bank. You're always going to be kind of like, I don't know if it's ready. Sometimes you just have to do it. You got to take a leap of faith in yourself and just do it, because then I feel like things start working out. I was 24 when I bought my first house. I was nervous. I was young and all that, but I did it. And then just naturally life just started. I was like, okay, I can do this, and you can do it too. You just got to start the conversation.
You know what I find interesting? The biggest surprise that a lot of buyers don't know is, like, right now, if we went out today and we bought a home and we wrote an offer and it got accepted, more likely than not, because we're at the end of January, you're probably going to close the first week of March.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So they're going to close on that, and their first payment isn't actually due until May
1st.
First, and people go, what about April? Well, yeah, you close in March, and then they give you a month, that you kind of get settled, and then they take you from there. We're not, the mortgage companies aren't blood-sucking vampires that are trying to squeeze you for every last dime.
No.
They actually do a courtesy and just, here you go. It starts on this day, and that really does make a difference, especially for a first-time homeowner who gets in, they've laid out all that cash to get into the home, and now they got some time. They get a chance to breathe and move in.
Some people got it really easy. Look, you're well educated, wealth in the family, whatever the situation is. And yeah, that's the one kind of buyer. Lots of easy loans out there. So those are, nice transactions when you run to people buying 20% down.
I call it the birth
credit.
lottery loans.
Very easy. That's fine. And again, very easy. But, the show does cater a little bit to the other 50%, which is families starting off, young couples, student loan debts out there, maybe some problems in the past, some situation out there that caused them a little bit of angst. And now they're trying to figure out, and how do they get into this home ownership thing? Homeowners have way more wealth, a lot better credit scores, and have this future laid out for them. It's nice to have that sense of community when you move into a subdivision and you're raising a family.
Yeah, don't hesitate because you're afraid of the word no, right? So I feel like I've talked to some people where they're like, oh, I was so nervous that I thought my credit was XYZ and you were going to tell me no. a lot of times people's credit is better than what they think that is, and sometimes it's worse than what they think it is. But, there's also that middle ground. Just have the conversation, because if you want to own a home, we're here to help you do that. And, you don't be afraid of the word no, because sometimes not right now is what you need to hear, but now you have a clear path on how you're going to get there. And that's what's important.
Well, and they need to talk to you guys, right? Because, Credit Karma is not their real.
Oh my God. Yeah.
There's got to be jokes for days about well, my Credit Karma said I have an 800 score. Yeah. Well, your FICO is 514. So
yeah, maybe not that difference, but yeah, that consumer credit report's different than a mortgage credit report, Chris. So you brought it up. Why not?
Yeah, it's totally different. I mean, a lot of times it does show higher than what it really is, and because it's just looking at one thing on a couple of your trade lines, where we're pulling something that is your life history of the loans, and depending on what's going on with the balances at the time. But again, we can identify specifically what you need to do, narrow your focus, and get the most points as quickly as possible.
All right, some cool stuff here. Equity's going through the roof. Appreciation all across the United States. So we got all this equity in our house. Now's a great time to really release that equity. And here's the reason why. This past summer, so all the homes that have sold here in 2021, which was a record year, those appraisals are good for 6 months. And those are the comparable sales that your appraiser is going to use. And now you can maximize the equity out of your house. That's why cash out refinances really right now are in vogue before these rates tick up anymore, A, and B, before these appraisals expire or these comparable sales expire. We want to show that, yes, your neighborhood has gone up in value, and there's some data right now that we can actually use.
Yeah, I mean, if you are not going to get into the 142 home battle with your pre-approval shank, then make your home what it is, or pay off that toxic credit card debt, right? But not use it as a piggy bank. But at the same time, you have one of your biggest assets right there that you're living in. And we've been in a very fortunate market, as Chris can attest to, that has been appreciating. So if you need to pay off debt or maybe revamp that house, you have the means to do so, right, that you sleep in every night.
Quick question. If you have somebody who's got maxed out credit cards, right? So their credit score is being depressed, but they have equity in their home. Can they qualify for a mortgage? Do you look at that and say, if somebody said, hey, I want to refinance my home, I want to take my cash out, I'm going to pay off all these credit cards.
That's what we do, brother.
And then my credit score is actually going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
Because I wiped out all my revolving debt.
Becky, they keep the credit card open, though. Again, we usually pay them off.
Yeah, you don't have to force them.
You don't have to close that credit card out, because it's paid down to zero, and that's a good thing 3 months later.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I have a family. It makes me feel so good. We're saving them $1,000 a month. They were overextended, helping kids with college. They're retired now. Now it is what it is. They make what they make, and they were just so overextended. And, paying off some of that debt, they're resetting their baseline, $1,000 a month, and then they're going to turn around and take that $1,000 and pay this house off exponentially much faster. But at the same time, they don't need to do that if they don't want to. If they want to put 5 of that in the bank and save it and give themselves a nest egg again, they have the ability to do that, and they can do that because of the home's appreciation. It's a beautiful thing, and I love when it works out like that.
We talked about the maintenance of a property too. Again, it's cold out there, folks. You got to do some things throughout the seasons. Again, we remind you here on the show every now and then, but definitely be careful with the furnaces. Don't get that. Don't use that oven today. Don't use that gas oven to heat up your house. Be careful with the space heaters and the everything else in those homes. Again, be safe first. But again, houses have maintenance requirements. You got to put a new roof on, painting, landscaping. There's lots of different things. So definitely keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. We're going to give you lots more information as we continue the show throughout 2022. Becky, always great to have you. You're going to be sitting in my seat next week.
Yeah, I'm on the 1s and 2s next week. Yay!
All righty. Hey, Chris Dayton, thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
EXP
buddy.
Realty. We always love having you on. Again, call Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE. That's 1-800-569-7283. The best mortgage banker. That's where you're going to save money and deal with the real professionals. All right, Pat Caputo coming up next with sports. Keep it here on 97.1 The